I want to welcome everybody to the 110 Nation Sports Show. I am your host, Mr. CJ Sports. You can follow me at CJ Sports 1. You can follow the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. Glad to have you here on this beautiful Tuesday. Little late edition as having I'm not going to say we had technical difficulties. The reason we started off late was because the Cleveland Cavaliers were on, and it was getting to be a really tight game when it was time to start the show. So we decided we was going to postpone it a little bit and give us an opportunity to catch the rest of the Cleveland Cavalier game in prime time. I don't get the opportunity to see them all the time. And ended up not after we made the decision, and after we made the call to not start the show until after the game, then the Cleveland Cavaliers started falling apart, and continue letting Washington Wizards beat up on them, and got it back up to a 20-point deficit. Before they closed the gap a little bit, but not enough to make it even interesting. But it got down to the point. Especially ending the third quarter, it looked like that the Cleveland Cavaliers were going to make a run of it at the fourth. And unfortunately, that's not what ended up happening. And so here we are. And so we're definitely get things rolling. I'm hoping we got Patrick Taylor joining us at 10 o'clock. We're still working all that out. So hopefully, I ain't heard from him today yet, so hopefully we do. I know we definitely have IZZO, our NHL expert, joining us here at 10:30 to talk NHL, so looking forward to that. Got a lot of great things going on the 110 Nation. Had a lot of great things we published out on the network. We posted Jeff Gordon's post-race interview, had the opportunity... trying to get all this information out here so we can make sure that everybody's on the same page. But we had a interview with Jeff Gordon, his final post-race interview as a driver. Had the opportunity to be in there. It was quite a big deal. And, I got the opportunity to record it. So last night after we got the show, we went ahead and published that and got that interview on there. If you're not listening to it, it's about a 35-minute interview. Make sure you guys check that out. Also, Kyle Larson following his win for the Xfinity Series. Got the opportunity to record that as well. And so if you've not heard that, it's also on BTR and Spreaker as well for your listening pleasure. It's about 20 minutes long, so you guys check that out. And I apologize for typing. I'm trying to make sure that, because we had to change the format tonight for tonight's show, I got to make sure that they have the right number for both our guests coming on tonight. All right, we got Donald taken care. Now I get my focus back to where it needs to be. Kobe Bryant returned home to Philly to play the 76ers. Caught highlights of that. Kobe didn't have too bad of a night. Maybe not the greatest of nights, but not too bad of a night. And it was able to score 20 points, 2 assists, 5 rebounds. Did unfortunately have 3 turnovers in a loss to the Philadelphia 76ers. Yes, the 76ers have managed to be victorious and finally snap their losing streak. So very excited about tonight. Outside of Nick Young's performance, only gave me 4.2 points. Everybody else has performed pretty good tonight on my FanDuel, so I'm very excited about that. Anthony Davis is really helping me out. LeBron James and his losing effort, not too bad as well. So I'm floating around and still the possibility of making a little something. So we'll see how the rest of this night plays out. Not quite sure, but still hanging around. But if you guys not follow me, I'll make sure I get all that out there real quick. If you guys not follow me, make sure you guys hit me up at CJ Sports 1. You can follow the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. Also, make sure you guys check us out on Facebook. You can check out the 110 Nation fan page over at 110 Nation Sports. You can check out my fan page, Mr. CJ Sports. Also, if you ain't checked out our blog site, go over to www.the110nationsports.com or check out our company site, www.the110nation.com. But Kobe made his return, his last return to Philadelphia, of course, his home. Even though he spent, the last 20 years in L.A. with the Lakers, that's where he's from. And so, it was a heartfelt welcome. I had made the comments to Shorty here in the studio before we came on the air that the 76ers finally break this losing streak and finally snap this. And the only thing you could hear is the fans cheer for Kobe. How disappointing, how bad does it gotta suck to finally win a game and you finally win a game and they cheer for the other team. Like that's gotta be horrible. You finally, after all these games, after losing 18 games, you finally win one. And the only response you get is you hear the fans cheer Kobe. But yeah, paying his due respect. And of course, we're going to see this a lot, especially all those arenas that he visits for the last time. I'm sure that this is going to be a common theme here, and so really to be expected. But yeah, part of me, as much as I want to show respect for an all-time great and a man that's third all-time scoring in the NBA and 5-time champion, I think 17-time All-Star if I remember correctly. I know that it's all about due respect, but it would suck to, as soon as you get done winning a game after losing 18 straight games, you hear your fan base cheer for someone else. I'm sorry, but it would suck. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, buts about it. To me, it would suck. It would be horrible. And so, Sixer fans, congratulations. Glad to see you're finally off the record books. You only go down as tied for the worst beginning of a season. You didn't get put down as the all-time worst start. So, congratulations to that. Cleveland, they snapped a streak for themselves. They had won, I think, that streak still goes on. They've won the last 33 games at home with scoring at least 100 points. So that streak still goes alive since they hit 100 points. But they were 9-0 this season at home. And that loss obviously is going to hurt, not only in the perspective of now you lost to someone in the Eastern Conference, and obviously that's never a good thing, but also later on when we get into the seeding and you got Washington who's sitting at 7-8, we know they're not going to continue to sit at the bottom. And now that puts you in a position that now Indiana can tie you in your own division there, sitting at 11-5, and so it's all around just not a good thing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's not a game that they really needed to lose. you really couldn't afford to lose to a 6-8 team. But watching this Cleveland Cavalier team, you could see that they were not up to par. They did not have the energy. They did not. They just not playing at the level that the Washington Wizards were all night long. Washington came out, had a 10-0 lead. At one point, Washington was up by about 22 points. Like I said, Cleveland had closed it down to about a 10-point lead right there going into the third, and that's when we made a decision, because I knew if they continued going that direction that it was going in, because I think it was like a 17-7 run at that point. But I knew if that game continued to go on, that I would not pay attention to the show at all. And so we made the decision, and they just came out, and they just couldn't hit nothing there for a while. They went on another 4 or 5 minute span without having a field goal. And at that point in time, Washington just was – it was almost like watching the Golden State series. This Washington team kind of just mocked and resembled what we saw out of Golden State, running up and down the court, wearing out the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I personally would have liked to have seen a little bit more Cunningham out there. I think that Mo, and even as good as Deladova played, he tied a season high. And, Mo Williams, he hit some critical three-pointers, but critical shots. I think having Cunningham in the rotation a little bit better maybe would have helped keep them fresher. Obviously, getting Kyrie Irving and Shumpert back is a big deal. Mozgov didn't play much of the second half. I would like to see a little bit more of Varaja out there as well. But it just, from the beginning to the end, you just could tell that Washington wanted to snap the 4-game losing streak that they were in. They wanted to make a statement. They wanted to find a way to help build some confidence, and that's ultimately what they did. Got another great game coming down. There's 1 second left. Brooklyn is up by 3 points. Phoenix is getting ready to inbound the ball, down by 3. This could make for a interesting finish here. And, we got players falling on the ground. And, it was 4 seconds. Now you got 3, 2, 1, and no foul was called, and that's how that game ends. Brooklyn wins 94-91 over the Phoenix Suns. So that bunch of great games tonight, especially if you're an NBA fan. So I got one FanDuel league. I was sitting towards the top in the top 800s. Definitely the most top 1,000 for most of the night, creeping and slowly. Now I'm falling about 6,500. But then I got the other one. I'm back into the top 1,000, and I'm feeling strong about the second one. I got a couple key players still sitting there playing. Like I said, it wouldn't have been for Nick Young, which I'm just trying to find someone cheap that was hoping to produce some. I got Anthony Davis still a whole another quarter, and I got this center. Dean for Minnesota with basically the whole fourth quarter to go. So hopefully they'll keep me going strong. I know I got some opponents out there that probably got some massive time to play still, so we'll see how that plays out for it. I could use a little cash. I've been playing the FanDuel for a year now, maybe a year and a half, and yeah, I know all that garbage is in the news, and it is what it is. I knew getting into it what I was getting into playing FanDuel, and that's why I've never let it be addictive. I played 2 different leagues tonight, spent a total of $3, and honestly, it's probably the first time I've played in a month, maybe even 2 months. And not from the lack of money. I had $27 on there. I think $20 and some change on there, and it's been sitting on there for a couple months. As a matter of fact, it was either last time or the time before I played, I ended up winning some money, so it built up my account back up, and I just, it's one of those things that, honestly, what pushed me into playing tonight was Kobe Bryant at Philadelphia. I was hoping for a really good performance out of Kobe Bryant being at home. I know that he's not been playing to par, and just not really putting in the performances that we've learned to watch and love and expect out of Kobe Bryant. But I was hoping it was one of those things that, we would see a little something out of him, and that's kind of what pushed me into him. I used him on both. I used him and LeBron Not that, not that I regret using Kobe Bryant. I was hoping for a little bit more, maybe 30 points instead of 20 points. I mean, he got me 28 FanDuel points, and LeBron got me 40. So between those two, almost 70 points. I was, greatly, appreciative of what, I got out of him. Kevin Love was one of the plays that really hurt me. Only 8 points. He just couldn't get anything to fall. Jeff Green ain't helped me out none tonight over in Memphis, even with them beating New Orleans. He's only got me 10 FanDuel points. But, I had a couple people still step up. Julius Randle, a Laker, stepped up, had a good game. Brandon Knight had a great game, almost 40 points as well. And like I said, I got Anthony Davis still playing in in the other league. So, I mean, great nights for some great players. Really, really good games tonight for the NBA to be sitting and watching tonight. And there's still one more game on the table with Dallas playing yet. So I'm hoping not too many people have players off the Dallas or Portland team, especially with Damian Lillard kind of iffy. I think he's going to try to muster up and play. Outside of that, Dallas ain't really got no key players that scoring a lot of points, and neither is Portland at this point. So I'm assuming that once the New Orleans and Memphis game, and of course the Orlando-Minnesota game finish up, then we're pretty much set on what points and where we're going to finish at. So definitely be keeping my eye on that throughout the rest of this show. But that's kind of what pushed me into it, was the fact that Kobe was making his return to Philly. They were projecting. I'm kind of upset that I got talked out of having John Wall. I did have John Wall on one of my rosters, and with him scoring 35 points and 10 assists, I would have racked up a nice little something. But after the watching the pregame show and seeing John Wall, who's averaging 16 points a game and just not been hitting much and just been really struggling over the last, I would say, 7 games or so, I decided to make a roster change. So I kind of wish that I would have stuck with it. I think it was my top roster, if I'm not mistaken. Looking at my roster now. It might have been, but I think that when I did that, I talked to myself, if that's the right roster, I talked myself into getting Brandon Knight, so I didn't really lose too much out of it, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, either way, I added Brandon Knight on both of them, and Brandon Knight had 26 points and 7 rebounds and 4 assists, so a little bit less, but not a lot less, so I can't complain too much, because the player that I did put in place of John Wall had a decent night. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it. Oh goodness. Like I said, had the opportunity to add the Jeff Gordon interview. Yeah, like I said, if you're a Jeff Gordon fan, you need to check that out. I even talked about him giving a shout out and pulling the guy with the back, basically a back tattoo of Jeff Gordon. You listen to that part of the show interview in there as well. Like I said, about 35 minutes. We have it on BTR and Spreakers. Make sure you guys check that out. Also, like I said, Kyle Larson. Also, we had the 110 Nation morning show this morning. It was about a 45, 50-minute show. I had to cut it a little bit short. Had to finish getting ready for work and get out the door. Had to be working at 9 o'clock this morning. So didn't have an opportunity to do a full hour, but we did have a morning show this morning, so it was great to be able to do that. Now we're sitting here, and now we're doing this, and no better way. A couple breaking things that I want to put out there, and now I got a response back from Patrick Taylor, so he might not be joining us tonight. But David Price agrees to a 7-year deal for $200. Yes, wait for it. $217 million. It's a lot of money. And I know that your pitching staff is probably the most important piece when it comes to baseball. I'm not going to say probably. I know that you got to have you know, a team that can hit well, but more so, you need a team that has good pitching staff because if you're not stopping the other team from scoring, it doesn't really matter how many runs you put on the board. The other team just going to outscore you, score you. But to know that this man is getting paid $31 million a game. That's not just mega bucks for Price. It's the biggest contract ever for a starting pitcher, edging Kershaw's $215 million. The average is $31 million. It doesn't figure that. You got to think about it. Not only are they paying this man $31 million a year at 30 years old, they're expecting and hoping that this man is able to perform at this level for 7 years into his mid to late 30s, and in hopes that there's no injuries, in hopes that there's no slowing down, in hopes that he just doesn't go in a slump. I mean, you're hoping for a lot of things out of a player that played 11 games, 32 games last season, averaging about 27 games a season. So we'll do simple math. We'll say he has a great season and he plays 31. He has 31 starts. He had 32 last year, 34 the year before that, and then only 23 with Tampa Bay. Just 11 in Detroit. Well, in the same year, he had 23 Tampa Bay, 11 in Detroit. So had 34 that season. 27, 31, 34, 32. Let's just say 31 games. This man is going to get paid $1 million. So we're gonna break this down. $31 million a game. Now let's do simple math here. Let's say, for instance, he does a complete game every game. I didn't break that down, Larry. I was about to pay him $31 million a game. Let's say he pitches a complete game every single game. We know this is not going to happen. But just say that is $111 or $111,101.11 a game, an inning. I'm sorry, on average, is what he's going to say. Now let's just say on average that he does 7 innings. Yes, some games he's going to go longer. Obviously, he's not going to go longer many games because he only had 3 complete games a season for the longest time now. So you're only looking at about 3 games on average. As a matter of fact, let's break this down to let's say he averages about 100 and, well, this says 180. But I'm going to be a little more realistic. He's been in at least the 220 range easily. 220 the last 2 seasons. So what's going between the last 2 seasons? Let's say 230 innings. So we're going to take this $31 million that he's going to get paid, divide that amongst 230 innings. He's looking to get paid, on average this season, $134,782.61 for every inning he pitches. At what point point have these contracts gotten to be ridiculous? Like, I would love to know at what point this sport got to the point that we feel that a player deserves to get $134,782.61 per inning that they play. Let's even break it down to even more insanity here. Let's say he has a perfect game, almost $15,000 a pitch. Let's say he pitches a max, let's say 5 batters a game, or 5 pitchers an inning. Say that he goes to a full count every time, so you're looking at 30 pitches. I love playing with numbers like this. I just love seeing the ridiculousness of a contract. Just short of $4,500 a pitch. As much as I love sports, as much as this TV stays on sports, as much as my big butt that has put on 40 pounds basically in the last year, and I'm not going to blame it on sitting on the couch watching TV, watching sports, but I do a considerable amount of that versus doing extra or doing physical activity, amongst many other reasons why I put on the weight. But and today was a wake-up call, and we're working on that, and we're dieting and everything else, getting ourselves back ready for the summer conditioning that we need to be in. But as much as I love sports, as much as I sit here and watch sports, read sports, talk about sports, write sports, as much as I go to my job, my real job, and talk sports, there's very, I'm not going to say not a single, but there is very few guys that come into my store that we do not at one point talk sports. I mean, there's people that I know by looking at them that they have no interest in sports at all, but they'll ask me stuff about the 110 Nation and any events that I'm going to, just to ask, just to be part of the conversations that we have going on in there. I started this company almost 5 years ago. April 15th will be 5 years. There's not one day that does not go by that something sports does not cross my mind. Some of the darkest days that I've had over the last 5 years, I have had sports to fall back on. I mean, Thanksgiving was a very dark day. Very lonely day. Very quiet day. The only thing I had was me and sports. Me and some NFL games. Yes, I'd have loved the games to have been closer. Games have been at least interesting. But when did we get to the point that we pay pitchers $134,000 an inning? When did we get to this ridiculous amount? When did we feel that this kind of money is appropriate and that players are deserving of this kind of money? To me, it's honestly insane to know that it is completely acceptable and fine that players get paid this kind of money. I mean, it's just insane to me. I spend hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars a year, and I couldn't even. Not that I don't want to. I couldn't even begin to tell you how much money that I've invested in the first almost 5 years of this company. So I could talk about probably the most passionate and be involved in probably one of the most important things in my life, outside of my family, outside of my religion. Like, this is probably the most important thing to me. And to have that opportunity to sit here night in and night out to talk sports, to write about sports, to build a company that is going to provide others the same opportunity. I would not want it to be any other way. But at the same time, I really got to scratch my head on how we find it to be acceptable, how we find it to be all right, to not at least scratch our head on the ridiculousness that we're seeing in these contracts. I'm sorry, but even as much as I love what I do, there's just a part of me that it doesn't sit well with. And it's like, it's no big deal. Like, it is part of the norm. Like, it blows my mind. I don't know. Crazy to me. $134,000, $1 million basically on average a game. To the upper amounts of ridiculous amounts per pitch. Even if he threw 30 pitches a game, 210 pitches a game, you're looking at just short of $5,000 a pitch. I mean, it kind of makes you just want to sit there and watch a baseball game and just, oh, there's another $4,500. Watch him intentionally walk somebody. How bad would that piss you off? Don't even got put no effort into it, just throwing it away. $4,500. Huh, I just made another $4,500. Huh, I just made another $4,500. Kind of makes you, especially if you support the Boston Red Sox, make you kind of make your blood boil anytime he has a bad pitch. I mean, almost $4,500 on average a pitch. Those pitches better be perfect. There's a lot of people that don't make what he makes in one inning, don't even make that in a year. I mean, there's a lot of people actually. 134,000. That's the insanity behind this. It just, I don't even know, it blows my mind to even know. That's why I never sympathize about players crying about contracts. You break down. I mean, hell, we broke down Aaron Rodgers' contract when he got his, and on average, then playing about 30 minutes, he made something like $50,000 a minute. Like, the ridiculous. That's why I don't sympathize for football players, especially. I mean, you don't play. It's not like in basketball player you play offense and defense. It's not like baseball. You're on the field offense and offense and defense. I mean, technically doing baseball, but you only bat once every 9 batters. So you're not technically playing offense you might play offense every 3rd or 4th inning, depending on how good you are or how bad of a game you guys are having. But I mean, a lot of these players that sit there and bitch, moan, and cry about how much they make, but you actually take the time to break down their contract, what they make per year. Then you break that down to how many games, 16 games, and then you break that down basically 30 minutes a game. It gets to be really, really sad what these players are getting paid, and you no longer sympathize. Like I said, when we broke down Aaron Rodgers, it was something like around $50,000 a minute, based on about 30 minutes on average, NBA players, I give you a little bit more credit. You got to play offense and defense, and you're on the courts, if you're good, 40 minutes on average. If not at least 35. I know they've cut LeBron back to about 32, 35 minutes to try to anyway. The only issue with basketball, and I know there's physicality to it, and I know a lot of people get hurt, but it's not that physical of a game. There's no contact. I mean, there's a lot of flopping, but it's sure not football. More physical in baseball. But it's the next time that you're part of that fan base that, yes, he should sit out, and I know there's a lot of Chancellor fans out there that felt that he should sit out until Seattle caves in, that Seattle should pay him. Next time you sympathize for a player, especially an NFL player, think about it. Take the time to really sit there and think about what he wants per year. Divide that by the 16 games on average that they're going to play, and break that down to 30 minutes a game. You'll not really feel so sorry for players no more. You'll learn to realize, what, they get paid a lot of money to be out there per minute. I mean, could you imagine Aaron Rodgers is making more in a minute than I'm making a year? Sad thing is, he's almost making double what I'm making. I have no shame. It's probably one of the lowest paying management jobs I have, but I really don't care. We do all right here with both of us being in management. It works with the child, the babysitting. It works with the location, and it works with the 110. I hardly miss any shows due to work. And the year and 2 weeks that I've been there, I've probably had to cancel 2 to 4 shows maybe due to having to be at work. I've not missed any media appearances that I've been blessed with because of work. I might have missed them because it's due to rain, but I've never missed any due to work. So, it's kind of one of those jobs that, yes, there's a lot of benefits to it. There's vacation time, opportunity for, moving up. I've been interviewed twice for the opportunity to move up, and been, all but guaranteed that one day I will move up and have my own store. Literally what I was told today, that I will have my own store at some point. Just be patient. I'll be patient. I'm happy where I'm at. Yes, just like everybody else, I'd like to get paid more. I don't feel that strenuous to a job that I'm going to demand that I have to be paid this amount of more money. And yes, we're going to have to move at the end of this month, and our rent's going to basically double. Yes, we need to get the other vehicle up, but we live comfortably. We wouldn't want to move into a situation that affects our household time, our family time, our personal time, the 110 time. So, I mean, we make things in, or make ends meet, and makes it so we can do this, and we can financially support, not only ourselves, but the 110 Nation. So, I'm not going to complain. But you have those fans out there that, I don't know, I guess they feel that they need to be emotionally attached to the players. And I'm sorry, I just have no sympathy at all for anybody there, any players out there, especially if NFL players, because like I said, once you break it all down, it's ridiculous, beyond ridiculous. The college football selection committee came up with your new top. We're going to go with top 6, and not just because we're back in the top 6, but that's how they've been doing it. The top 4 in the first 2 outs. Clemson stays at the top spot, claiming all 5 weeks at the top spot. Alabama number 2, Oklahoma 3, Iowa number 4. Here's where everything gets kind of jumbled up and interesting. Clemson got to play number 10, North Carolina, who's been extremely hot for the ACC championship. If North Carolina can come in and beat Clemson like a bat out of hell, Ohio State fans would greatly appreciate that and can help advance our movement. Next thing is Alabama. They only play Florida, but struggle against them with them only beating one ranked team and losing to an unranked team really hurts their resume. So things could get interesting on how Alabama holds their position. Oklahoma, you kind of have your destiny in your hands at this point. I don't think that Oklahoma is really in any serious threat. And the next interesting matchup is number 4 and number 5, the Big Ten championship between Iowa and Michigan State. So what idealistically my Ohio State Buckeyes need to see happen is North Carolina not only needs to beat Clemson, needs to beat them in a pretty good beatdown. Maybe 20-point victory, really just drop the hammer on them. And the same thing needs to apply for, let's say, Iowa. Iowa needs to beat the brakes off. And, of course, if Florida could show up for a football game and score them more than 2 points like they did against Florida State and can pull an upset against Alabama, yes, that would be great. But realistically, the shots that Ohio State is looking for is North Carolina upsetting Clemson and doing it. That doesn't have to be a 30, 40-point win, but honestly, I think anything more than 2 touchdowns would really help Ohio State's cause and Clemson and causing Clemson to fall. And then either way, but preferably it being Iowa over Michigan State in a very demanding victory. It could be either one, really. Michigan State could put the beat down on Iowa, then it would drop Iowa. It would make everybody's eyes open up. Well, Iowa ain't played really nobody all year. They're kind of sitting where they're at because they're undefeated. Michigan State beats the brakes off of them. That would send them spiraling out of control. So those are the two, for all the Buckeye fans out there, those are the 2 games you're really keen on. Is hoping that Michigan State not only beats Iowa, but beats the break off of them, and same with number 10, North Carolina beating number 1 Clemson. Needs to beat them, doesn't necessarily need to be as bad, but it needs to be at least a couple touchdown margin for them to win. But we got Clemson 1, Alabama 2, 3 Oklahoma, 4 Iowa. Michigan State is in the 5th spot. Ohio State leaps up into the 6th spot. Stanford slides up to 7. Notre Dame slides all the way down to 8. Florida State slides down, or was at 9. North Carolina 10th. TCU moves up to 11th. Baylor 12th. Mississippi 13th. Northwestern 14th. Michigan 15th. Oregon 16th. Oklahoma State 17th. Florida slides down to 18th. Houston 19th. USC 20th. 21st is LSU. 22nd Temple. 23rd is Navy. Utah 24th. And 25th Tennessee. Started off the season right inside the top 25, and looks like they might finish up the season right back inside the top 25 in that 25th spot. But those are your top 25. But all eyes right now over this next week is on the top 6. Your 4 that are in at this point, and your first 2 out. And like I said, Ohio State fans, you're keying on that Clemson North Carolina game and that Michigan. The Iowa-Michigan State game. Those 2 games is what you need to see and really be focused on at this point. Like I said, I think Alabama controls their own destiny. I would be shocked if they lose to 18th ranked Florida, especially what we saw out of them against Florida State. And then Oklahoma, kind of, they control their own destiny as well. I just don't see a roadblock in either one of their two's future. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, they're already done because they are not even scheduled for any more games. So that win last week against Oklahoma State finished their season off. Outside of that, I don't see anybody making any noise. Even with the Stanford, a big win over USC, I don't think it's going to be enough to jump anything. So Temple and Utah, two teams around the 20th, and then Texas and Baylor. Baylor's already done its damage and is not going to help or hurt their situation any at this point. So, yeah, that's what the playoff picture is looking like. Still hope out there for us Buckeye fans. We're going to continue holding on and see how that plays. Orlando being victorious over Minnesota 94-92. We're getting down to the last about minute and 20 seconds. Memphis is leading New Orleans 111-102. And then, of course, the Dallas and Portland game is just getting underway. And tell you what, I'm slowly but surely still creeping up. I'm running out of time, but now I'm in the top 600. And I would like to climb that ladder a little bit more. I would like to, about double my spin. I spent $3. I'm about to get $5 back. I don't think we're going to slide up too much more at this point, but Anthony Davis about to rack me up 60 points, and I'm very thankful for that. Honestly, if I wouldn't have screwed up and went with Nick Young and found someone else cheaper that had been a little bit more productive, and maybe even a better point guard or power forward, Tristan Thompson kind of hurt me. He was 17 points. Everybody else was about 25 points and up. So, but yes, I think we might finish pretty decently tonight. Might make a couple of dollars. That's always good. Always like making a little bit of something. Of course, I would like to make a lot of something, but a little bit of something is better than nothing. Why Barry Bonds will regret taking a job in Miami. Never did Barry Bonds suffer. Fools gladly, whether his opponents or the media and the governmental fools have spent tens of millions of dollars chasing charges they never could get to stick. He was Barry Lamar Bonds, home run king, and everyone else was a subject. Challenged him whether a fastball or pointed the question of indictments. And we got IZZO joining us here, so I gotta go ahead and plug him in since we're doing things a little bit different. We'll touch on this a little bit. But IZZO, how are you doing tonight? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. What's going on, Jay?
Not a whole lot of nothing. How are you doing tonight?
Well, I'm enjoying my night, playing pool down here at yesterday's Pub and Grill right off of Buffalo Lake, watching the Minnesota Wild have the lead in the third period against the Chicago Blackhawks 2-1, getting later in the game, and looking forward to catching the Pens and the Sharks right after the Blackhawks Wild game tonight. So, pretty good hockey on tonight. Enjoying some good food, playing some free pool tonight here, and getting ready to wrap up the pool tournament tonight.
How are we doing on the pool tables tonight?
I got knocked out in the semifinals, so just in time for me to come on and call, do the show tonight, call in and talk some hockey tonight. So that was kind of good. That it was a timely loss and a good one. So can't be too upset.
There we go. Before we jump into this, go ahead and plug your Twitter handle real quick, so all the puckheads out there know where to keep up with you at.
You can follow me at 110 Puckhead there on Twitter. Shoot me, tweet me. Let's debate. Let's argue it up a little bit. Let's see who the good teams are. Let's see who you're following. Who do you like? Who's your favorite player? Who's been shocking you? Who's been surprising you? Just shoot me a tweet. Let's like to hear from you guys. And I appreciate everybody that tweets and everything like that. I'm always looking, even though I was on vacation last week. So I'm back here now. I'm back on the Twitter, and I'm following games and everything. So shoot me a tweet at 110 Puckhead.
Gotcha. Well, what are we jumping into tonight?
Well, like I said in a previous show, we were going to discuss the 3-on-3 format, and there has been a few changes or a few additions into this 3-on-3 overtime. The format is going to consist of 11 players from each division, which includes 2 goalies from each division. The East teams will play each other in one period, one 20-minute period. The West teams will play one 20-minute period representing the second period. The winner of those will play the third period, and the winner of the All-Star 3-on-3 is going to win $1 million bonus. That was just released a couple days ago. So there is going to be something on the line and something at stake for this. So I think that's only going to sweeten the pot a little bit for people to tune in and everything.
Now, we talked about this last week. This thought crossed my mind, and so I'm glad you talked a little bit more about this. Now, we're going to see 2 teams from the East play each other in the first period, 2 teams from the West play each other in the second period, or vice versa, either way. And that's kind of to my point. Then you're going to have a third period where they duke it out, East versus West. How are they going to determine who plays at what period? Because me being a guy in sports, I'm always looking for the advantage and the disadvantage in some things. And so, obviously, whoever plays the second period, if it be Eastern Conference or Western Conference, is not going to be as fresh or get an opportunity to get as much as a break as the first period team does. So how are they going to decide who goes first, or is that something that's been discussed? Because at some point, I would feel that somebody, especially if we don't rotate it, is going to feel pretty salty because they're not going to get the same break, and and the other team's kind of getting an advantage, getting that extra rest in between the first period and the final period.
Yeah, I do believe that that's something that they're going to do just before game time. Once they get all the rosters set, that will probably be discussed. It'll be probably like a coin flip or something simple as that, because the NHL All-Star Game doesn't determine where the Stanley Cup is or anything like that. It really doesn't have any meaning. Like I said before, people watch the skills competition, but I imagine there'll be some sort of a coin toss or some sort of maybe rock, paper, scissors. I've seen some pretty crazy things, pretty funny things from these guys in the NHL All-Star Game. So I'm looking forward to it. I think Nashville is going to be in for a real treat. I know most of the players love going to Nashville just for the scene down there. I lived in Nashville for a little bit, so I know what it's like down there right outside of Bridgestone Arena. It gets pretty hectic, especially when the Preds are doing pretty well, just like they have been for the last 2 years. So, like I said, I think it's just going to be just like a coin toss of some sort, and I imagine that they won't predetermine who plays when or anything. I think they're just going to leave that up to the players and go forth from there.
Gotcha. And I know it don't determine the Stanley Cup or where they play, like the Major League Baseball, but $1 million, I would want every advantage I have and the possibility of winning $1 million. So, that's kind of how I look at it. And so I was just curious, if there's something they had thought about ahead of time, because one of the teams is going to have a disadvantage by playing in the second period, or if it's something that they're going to switch year in and year out. One year, the Western goes first, the next year the Eastern goes first, or I don't know. That was just, and I know it is kind of not the first thing that most people sit there and think about, but after we got off the show last week, that was kind of the first thing that popped in my mind after we talked about it was, somebody's going to have a disadvantage at some point with it being one conference, one period, and the other conference, the other period. So. I don't know. I'm just kind of curious if it got brought up or not.
Yeah, there'll definitely be an advantage. Most of these, you're only going to have 11 skaters for each division.
Mm-hmm.
The only aspect of the game or position that you're not going to really be too tired is goaltending, because you have 2, all-star goaltenders. So the goaltenders will be split in time. How they'll split time, I'm not too sure. Maybe one guy will play the first 10 minutes, and then they'll after the 10-minute mark, they'll switch goaltenders on both sides. And the goaltender should be pretty well rested, especially for this type of game and the format that it's going to be in. it is going to be pretty exciting, as we've all seen from the overtime regulation games so far this year, that even at times it can get pretty hectic, and that game pace, that game momentum, and the direction is constantly changing. So you're going to definitely see a lot more on your toes action. Usually when it was the 5-on-5, regular, game, it was a lot more laxed. It was a little bit more, chilled down, cool. People were trying to, make really finesse plays and everything like that. And it's really hard to do 5-on-5. So they feel that taking it down to 3-on-3 from what they've seen from the overtime is really going to help them. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it should work out pretty interesting. Like I said, the players, they usually have fun with sort of things like this. So, captains will be chosen and everything after the All-Star voting is all counted up, which don't forget, please go to NHL.com and vote for your favorite player this year so far. It's strictly a fan vote. So get your superstars in there. Let's get the Patrick Kanes and the Evgeny Malkins and Ovechkins and the Kopitars and the Tarasenkos. These are the guys we want to see play 3-on-3 hockey in the All-Star game, because that's going to be one heck of a show to watch, Jay.
Do you think that they can keep up that, from the overtime games I've seen, and I obviously have not seen a lot of them, but I've seen a few of them. It's a very high tempo, overtime period. Do you think that they will be able to keep up the same intensity and the same kind of up-tempo pace during these periods, or how do you visualize a whole period being played out like that?
Well, with this $1 million bonus that they're going to be chasing if they win the game, is going to be pretty. I think that'll give a pretty good edge to the competition. Guys are going to really want to skate really hard, and everybody's going to be wanting to get to take a part of that $1 million bonus. So I think it's going to have some pretty fair, pretty good competition in it. I don't think it'll be as a fast pace as like maybe a regular season game where it actually counts for points in the standings and everything like that. But I still think that you are going to get an amazing show. We're going to see plays that we're not necessarily going to see in the regular season. We're going to see passes and trick shots and, crazy one-timers and everything like that. So usually the physical aspect is usually taken out of the game, especially in the All-Star break.
Gotcha. I don't know. I just know it's a high tempo and overtime. They're going for that first goal, and that's all really the energy they got to muster up. So I'm trying to visualize, what the rotation is going to be like and how long they're going to be able to keep up that high tempo, especially being the 3-on-3. That's definitely going to be something else to kind of keep an eye on, and I don't know, something I'm going to be very interested in seeing.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a show to watch. I'm looking forward to it. And I think it's going to be one treat for the NHL fans of the league and everything like that. And like I said, I think Nashville is going to be in for a real treat. They do like their Preds down there, so look forward to seeing maybe James Neal or Pekka Rinne or even Shea Weber in the All-Star game. So Shea Weber will probably be participating in the skills competition, and he'll more likely be competing in the hardest shot category. So he's always a lock for doing the hardest shots, so I think Nashville's going to get a pretty good amount of votes in for their favorite players and everything, and hopefully they can get 2 or 3 guys in there. They're doing pretty well this year in the Central Division. So I think it's going to be a real treat in Nashville and just for NHL fans in general.
Cool. What else we got going on tonight?
Well, I got a couple. I dig my college hockey here, so I went and looked at was looking at some of the rankings because the season is pretty still fresh. It doesn't really get a lot of public release because it falls in with college basketball and everything like that. And so I got the top 10 teams right now. And looking at the top 10 teams that are in right now, these are all teams that competed in the tournament at the end of the year. A couple of them were in the Frozen Four last year. So coming in at number 10 is Yale University. Yale University is actually a very big hockey school. A couple NHL players have graduated from these Ivy League schools like Yale and Harvard and everything. Tanner Glass, he's an Ivy League guy. George Peros. Anybody who knows George Peros remembers the mustache that he had. He was an Ivy League guy. So Yale is coming in at number 10 there. Number 9, Denver University. Yet again, another favorite to win the national title in ice hockey this year in the NCAA. Denver was in the tournament last year. Didn't really quite make it that too far. Had a lot of young underclassmen and everything, so they were kind of rebuilding off the few years ago that they had when they were making deep runs into the tournament and into the Frozen Four. Coming in at number 8 is Harvard University. Harvard is also a very big hockey school, like I said before. They've been into the Frozen Four a few times. Have won a national title here, and are looking pretty good. They got a pretty good, solid core of middle-classmen. A lot of middle-class talent that's getting ready to come up. Some of them are going to be representing in the World Juniors for either Canada or USA. So they got a pretty stacked team and a pretty high IQ on the bench. So it kind of helps when you have a high IQ when you play hockey. So it's a really cool thing to see. Number 7 is St. Cloud State. St. Cloud State is a very, very small school, as we all know. They're always competing in the 1A NCAA classes and everything like that. Another powerhouse team. Has a lot of power, a lot of strength to it, a lot of big physical game and everything. Get down in front of the net, crash the net, score a lot of goals, and just pretty much create havoc. New one this year, one I haven't really, unfortunately, been able to follow is University of Nebraska Omaha. They're a fairly new team. They got a big mix of underclassmen, some senior classmen. Their goaltending has been outstanding so far this year. So hopefully that can ride in all the way into March, and we could see them possibly dancing in the tournament too. University of Massachusetts comes in at number 5. Another team that's constantly in the tournament here has been the Frozen Four in the last 6 years and everything like that. Number 4, North Dakota. North Dakota's a big hockey school. The Fighting Sioux have been into the dance and into the Frozen Four and have won a national title a few years back. They know, and they have, as a university, what it takes to get back to the tournament. Quinnipiac is number 3. These guys have recently to themselves, coming back again. Was really subpar there for a while. They have well in recruiting. A lot of underclassmen that they have are now older classmen, and they made the Frozen a couple of years back too, and they're doing pretty well this year. One of the few undefeated teams so far this year. I think the record, if I'm mistaken, is 5-0-2. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong about that. Boston College comes in at number 2. BC is always a big hockey school. We all know that's where a lot of Pens fans realize that's where Brooks Orpik came from. Big number 44. Boston has always had a very big program there. So it's good to see Boston back up at the top and coming in at number 1, Providence. Providence, in the last few years, made a lot of noise in the NCAA, making plenty of Frozen Fours, going deep into the stuff. I'm kind of glad I got to catch up on some college hockey. Bulls, Penn State, who was just recently sponsored by the university. And a few years, I think 2 years ago, entered the Big Ten. So they're creeping polls now. They're around 12 or 15-ish, so I was kind of looking forward to that. Ohio State sort of missed the bracket for the top 22, so it's still early in the year, so I do see your Buckeyes coming back and trying to make a push for the tournament at the end of the year. They're always a very dangerous team, big power team, mixed in with some good finesse. So looking forward to seeing some more big teams get in. Next up is another ESPN favorite to win the NCAA title this year. Michigan Tech is another good school that's just missing out on the top 20 teams so far in the country. So it's cool to see college hockey back. Unfortunately, Jake, it's overshadowed by college basketball, especially in this area with Duke and Chapel just up the road. So. But look forward to watching some college hockey in there. ESPNU usually carries here and there, usually early in the morning or later in the evening or into the night. So if you can catch a college hockey game, man, it's pretty cool. These guys are actually really playing to try and go somewhere and do something. So, many places for them to get that opportunity, Jay.
How different? And I've not watched any college hockey at this point, but I know like the college football, the rules are significantly different versus simply two simple rules easily. One, in NFL, you got to have 2 feet in. College, you got to have 1 foot in. In the pros, if you go down, if you're not touched, you can get back up and run. In college football, as soon as you touch the ground, you are down no matter what. And basketball's different, baseball's different. How different is hockey from college hockey and NHL? And the reason I ask is because I don't understand why the rules are so different than all the rest of the sports, because you're preparing these guys to go play professional sports. To me, that would be like me going to college to learn business, but all you do is teach me how to cook things. I mean, you're not preparing me fully for where I'm about to go and what my profession is about to be. So I'm kind of curious, is there a big difference in the rules? Are they pretty close to the NHL? Is there any big differences that, such as the NFL versus college with 1 foot in versus 2 foot in kind of scenario?
Well, no, Jay. Actually, it's really, really, really similar. It's practically the same.
Okay.
Actually, the NHL watched the college ranks use the coach's challenge before the NHL even. So there's that aspect of the game that college has donated to the pros. Usually, it's just equipment that is changed. There's certain equipment that these young kids have to wear and everything like that. Like they have to wear a full cage or a full visor that protects their entire face, so none of their face is exposed.
Mm-hmm.
But generally speaking, no, there is not. I can't think of any rules that are different than what it is in the NHL. So, I mean, you still overtime period and everything like that. I don't think they do. I think they do the 3 on overtime, which is something they started in the college ranks too. Playoffs in the tournament and everything like that. Overtime is the same as it is in the NHL. Full period, 5 on 5, and if no one scores in 20 minutes, then they play another whole period. So it's generally the same thing, except it's just college. So there's no really big difference at all between rules and gameplay or anything like that really. Just some equipment things here and there, just to protect all these guys and everything like that. Like they have to wear certain pads and everything to protect their neck, their face, simple things like that. So not a really big change, and it's still hockey, and it's some damn good hockey, Jay.
Gotcha. Just curious. Like I said, all the other sports they seem to have some significant differences, and so I'm just kind of curious if there's any. I don't know. It just never made no sense to me. You need to prepare them by the rules of the professional sport they're going in versus having your whole different line of rules, and then you're not. I don't know. It just feels that you're not prepared. Like I said, to me, it almost be like going into the wanting to be in the business, but they teach you how to cook, and that's it. Like I never got it. So just kind of curious.
Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward thing. So no big changes or anything like that. So, and like I said, you get just as much as a good thing in anything.
Gotcha. All right, well, where are we heading next?
I'll be in a second. Well, I'd like to get to the moment and do something up to fans, knowledge and everything that Patrick Kane today set a new record for point and everything like that with 19. The only American player, as an American-born player, he set that record. Tonight he extended that to 20 games with a goal against the Wild tonight. So I don't have the game on in front of me right now. But it's good to see that. Good to see that Blackhawks have taken their late season form here. They've been playing really well, trying to stay atop that Central Division or among the top. Another good team I've been watching is the Capitals. Brayton Holtby has been tearing it up with a 1.95 goals against average right now in November. So he's number one actually atop the list in goals against average in the league right now. So he's earning the money, earning the contract that he got earlier this summer. Capitals have been battling out. Their power play's been on fire and everything like that. So it's good to see them doing pretty well. The Kings have been up in their game here a little bit, getting dirty goals and everything. I think that team has certainly found their chemistry, and they're slowly coming together and everything like they should. And who can forget about your Blue Jackets? Hey, while I was home on vacation, I watched that overtime debacle, so I was a little heartbroken. But Columbus seems to be Pittsburgh's kryptonite right now, and Columbus is they've been doing rather well. I think John Tortorella has really lit a fire under them guys, and Bob Rofsky he's feeling comfortable getting net and everything like that. So I think everything is all right for Columbus. They're just slowly, steadily climbing the standings in the conference right now, Jay.
I'm glad to see Columbus is starting to do something. How aggravated it was to be so hyped up about this Columbus Blue Jacket team, especially the offseason pickups that they made, and then not watch them really do anything there for the longest time.
Yeah, and I mean, now that we're getting to we're through a good chunk of the season. The next target to look at after the All-Star break is the trade deadline, and Jackets still have some. They still have some good pocket change left in their checkbook right now. So they could make a really big move here going into the playoffs, depending on where they're sitting at in the standings. So I mean, right now Carolina is definitely listening to trade proposals right now for Eric Staal. Right, and that's I guess that's getting pretty serious. I've been paying attention to that. So and Columbus could be a front runner. That could be that could be the kind of and a definite boost in leadership just for that team. Staal won the cup there in Carolina when he was younger and everything. It would be kind of sad to see the Staal brothers broken up, but Eric would definitely be a good addition for the Columbus Blue Jackets in the long run. Because if you think about it, I mean, we're only a couple weeks away from Christmas and everything like that, and you got the Winter Classic getting ready to come up. You got the Alumni Game getting ready to come up. You got the All-Star Game getting ready to come up, and then you got the trade deadline. So there's really not a lot of time left. Really, time is rapidly counting down and everything till we get to the new year, and those playoff pushes are going to be they're either going to happen or they're not. So like to see maybe add another scoring winger in Columbus, maybe possibly a definite veteran leadership in the locker room who's been to the dance and has done the dance. So it's going to be an interesting season to see in Columbus, and hopefully they can keep climbing up the standings, Jay.
Sounds good. Glad to see that they're moving, starting to move in the right direction. Ain't quite there yet, but starting to move in the right direction.
Yeah, and it's going to be, like I said, I think they're finally getting chemistry. They finally are working a system where everybody's being used for their specific, skill set and everything like that. Their power play has been pretty well. Has been scoring often and pretty easily too. Penalty kill's starting to pick up the slack a little bit. Like I said, Bob Rofsky's playing really well. So they're on the rise, and watching them play Pittsburgh, man, and it was a very physical game. Dubinsky got suspended that one game for the cross-check in Crosby's neck and everything, which was kind of unfortunate. But Dubinsky and Crosby just do not get along, even in the days when Brandon Dubinsky was still with the Rangers. So those two have a heated rivalry going, and as we can see, it can get pretty physical. So. You don't necessarily want to see that in the game and everything, but that just shows you, the pride and grit that these guys use when they're playing against each other. So there's no love lost in that relationship, Jay.
Now, of course, we want to talk about some hot teams in the NHL, and one, before you jump into some of these teams, Montreal started off blazing and won the first 9-10 games before they suffered their first loss, and obviously still sitting on top, 19-4, 3 overtime losses, 41 points. Obviously, top of the league right now, still one of the bigger teams or the better teams in the league. Still, are they considered to be still as hot as they once was when we saw them in the beginning of the season? And then also, what are some other teams that we need to look out for that have really started to turn things up?
Well, with the Canadians right now, yeah, I think that they are the front runner for the President's Trophy for the best team in the league in the regular season. Carey Price, as we all know, is on the shelf right now, with a lower body injury that's undisclosed right now. He got hurt a couple weeks before that and was out for a little bit, and Canadians were struggling there in overtime and everything like that. At least they were getting to overtime. They're still stacking points, and honestly, if you could stack 1 point and possibly snatch that second point in overtime, that'll help out immensely. But I think right now with Carey Price on the sidelines right now on the IR, that's just not what the Canadians need. They need him to stay healthy. They need him to be Carey Price. He's considered one of the best goalies in the league and in the world right now. So, it's kind of sad to see Carey Price up on the shelf hurt because, like you said, they've been dominating the league so far this year, and dominating isn't even a fair term. So, they got about another week, half a week or so until Price comes back, and hey, maybe it's go through this little slump now and charge up for the end of the year and everything like that. So, 19 wins, that's a lot of points. That's 38 points, and those 3 overtime losses, that's at least 3 points right there. So that they're moving up, and they're trying to pull away from everybody in the East and in the division and everything. So that's going to be a dangerous team all year long, no matter what. So, another good team to watch, who was named one of the rookies for the month, was Dylan Larkin of the Red Wings. Larkin was hurt there, didn't really play in the beginning of the season. Datsuk finally made the lineup a little bit stronger when he made his season debut in early November. So Red Wings have been really trying to make a push. Dylan Larkin has really blown up the scene, scoring goals left and right, getting back to the way he was playing in minor league hockey and everything. So it's good to see the Red Wings getting back to their good winning ways. The Leafs have actually been surprising people here and there, squeezing out wins when they can and everything. I think Mike Babcock has done an excellent job in Toronto so far with the lack of talent that he has in Toronto. So he's been really keeping the reins tight there, trying to get them guys to believe, and I really think that they're starting to see light, and they're heading in the right direction. Rangers have been another hot team. Their power play has been just amazing so far this year. Henrik Lundqvist, they don't call him King Henry for nothing. Lundqvist has been playing, like he has been for the last, 10 or so years. Swedish goaltender, very good, very sound, very solid. Made it to the Stanley Cup twice and hasn't won one yet. I'd like to see Lundqvist get one. But Matt Zuccarello's really stepped up his game for them. Been scoring a lot on the power play. Dan Girardi has been doing pretty well. Mark Stahl has been chipping in on the power play and the penalty kills. So they're playing sound hockey on all aspects, special teams, 5-on-5. So the Rangers have been really cooking it up and everything. The Lightning have been trying to regain their old form from last year and everything. The Kucherov line has been coming awake here a little bit, scoring a few goals here and there, and they're starting to get back to themselves with Kucherov and Johnson and everything like that. Florida is another one that I've been surprised by. Florida's actually been doing pretty well. Yager, who is leading the team in points, surprisingly enough, as a 43-year-old, is quite shocking too. But Huberdeau and all them guys right down there, and Luongo seems to be playing pretty sound goaltending right now for the Panthers. So Panthers have been doing pretty well, and they're trying to position themselves to be in a wild card spot by maybe the trade deadline. And they got some good change left over because they got a lot of young guys on the team right now. So they could possibly be a guy that might look at Eric Stahl or somebody like that to try and bolster their lineup. So those are my hot teams that I've been watching and catching in so far. Another one that I really like that's been getting back into it are the Ducks. Corey Perry seemed to have started his scoring. His scoring skill set has gotten back to where it was. He's putting points up and everything, scoring goals. So it's a good thing for Corey Perry to be scoring because they need Corey Perry to score. If they can't get him to the net and get him his chances, they're not going to go far into the playoffs at all. So those are my hot teams that I've been catching up on for the last couple weeks or so. So, and that's subject to change. Everybody goes through their win streaks and their struggles. So it's still early, kind of. Like I said, we still got a lot of hockey to play until we get to that time in the springtime to start dancing for Lord Stanley.
There we go. And of course, you're going to be keeping us updated every week here on the 110 Nation Sports Show. So definitely excited about that, and looking forward to seeing how things are stacking up come next week.
Yes, sir. I'm like I said. Another thing today, the alumni game that's going to take place up in Minnesota between the old North Stars franchise and the Blackhawks. That roster was just released today. I was pretty excited. Jeremy Roenick and Brent Sopel and Chris Chelios highlight the roster for the Blackhawks. Mike Modano, Dino Cisterelli, and John Casey are the highlights for the North Stars roster. So look for that coming up in February up in Minnesota. I think it's February 18th or 24th. I can't remember off the top of my head. But that's going to be a pretty cool game to watch. We got the Winter Classic getting ready to come up here in less than a month on the 1st of January. And that's going to be a pretty cool one. That's going to be played in Gillette Stadium between the Montreal Canadiens and the Boston Bruins. And that's an original six matchup, and those two teams absolutely hate each other. So that's going to be pretty cool to see an original six matchup in an outdoor game. So tune into epics.com. They do a pretty cool documentary called Road to the Winter Classic, and they just follow the guys in the locker room, behind the scenes and everything leading up to the Winter Classic game. So if you get a chance, check that out. I will try and post that to my Twitter account later tonight so you guys can take a look at that. It's something really cool, to get behind the scenes and see what the players go through and practice and training and games and everything like that leading up to the Winter Classic and everything. So pay attention to that.
Well, IZZO, I want to let you be able to get back to what you're doing. I'm glad to be able to have you on tonight. Glad you was able to make time. I'm sad that you got knocked out of the pool tournament, but at the same time, I'm thankful because that might have made things a little difficult doing this 30-minute segment of the 110 Nation Sports Show. So
yes.
Definitely we'll be catching up with you throughout this week. Still have that in Shorty's car that we got to get to you one way or another. So definitely get up with you throughout the week. Looking forward to next week. You enjoy your week, and we'll be talking soon. All
right, Jay. You have a good night now.
Yes, sir. That was IZZO, our NHL experts. Glad to have him on tonight. Very thankful to have him on tonight. Don't forget, we got the 110 Nation Morning Show at 8 a.m. Make sure you tune in and check that out. It's 1 hour long. Get your morning started off on the right foot. Also, make sure you tune in tomorrow night for the 110 Nation Sports Show. Kicks off at 9 o'clock. Looking forward to being back here doing the exact same thing tomorrow night. If you've not checked out our blog site, go to www.the110nationsports.com. If you've not checked out our company site, go to www.the110nation.com. Also, check us out on Twitter. You can check out you can check me out on Twitter at CJSports1, the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. Also on Facebook, you can check my fan page, Mr. CJ Sports, or the 110 Nations fan page, 110 Nation Sports. I'm trying to think if there's anything else before we get out of here. Not quite sure. I think we got everything wrapped up for the night. You guys have a great night, and we'll be talking to you tomorrow morning.